McCarthy's getting sucked into Craig Breslow. That was to Alex Spear and Tom Caron on their podcast. Him, giving you just what you want to hear, which is, we're not here to win system rankings. We're here to win big league games. When I hear that, I say, oh, someone got to him on the right, because it's just like, oh my God, it's like it's something I've been saying for years. So I don't know if I'm not giving myself credit like they're responding to me specifically, but it does feel like a response to something that would be said on a talk show, that these nerds that run these teams, these analytics guys that run these teams, especially here, and certainly the previous guy, they were far more interested in their system ranking than actually winning major league games. This is something we accused Chaim Bloom of. It's something I absolutely believe Craig Breslow was brought here to do, win through the system. And I absolutely believe, because he's cut from the same cookie cutter, the same clone, the same assembly line of young baseball executives, that he gets off on his system ranking. He probably gets off on his system ranking more than he does on the actual ALE standings. I think that's how these guys are wired. That's what I believe is in Craig Breslow's heart and his DNA, his Baseball America system ranking. And I rant about this, and then he comes out and says, hey, it's about big league wins, not system rankings. You've been put up for that.
That was Dombrowski-esque right there from Craig Breslow yesterday.
I don't buy it. I think he's been told to sing a different tune or sort of counter the buzzwords that we would throw at him. He says we don't want to get caught up in the playoff probabilities. You big fat liar. It was just like 2-3 weeks ago, he told Alex Spear that they're going to be driven by the data-driven probabilities. The data-driven, what was the exact line? I wish
the data determines.
Data determine. I meant to get a tattoo of this so I could always reference it, because I wanted exactly as Alex Spear wrote it in the Globe. And Alex Spear, of course, got it straight from Breslow or some other clone over there in the front office. They're going to be driven. They're going to be their path at the deadline will be determined and will be influenced by their data-driven probabilities. The playoff models. That's how he's wired, and so we kill him for it, and rightfully so. And then he comes out on a podcast and says, "You don't want to get caught up in the playoff probabilities, and we're not here to win system rankings. We're here to win major league games." Oh, you liar! I don't believe him.
So, in fairness to Craig Breslow, Mike, can't guys figure stuff out as they go along? You know, this is one of my criticisms of Chaim Bloom, is that he never grew on the job. What if Craig Breslow's growing on the job? What if Theo Epstein has more influence over Craig Breslow? What if, Craig Breslow can go to Theo Epstein a few weeks ago, or Theo can point out to him and say, hey, Craig, by the way, this is how you sound when you say something like this, and that's not the way you should operate. I'm going to give you a piece of advice. And Breslow learns from that because he has an advisor who can guide him in this. What I'm saying is this, is we need to be, and I'm encouraging you to be, and you know how I feel about the nerds, Mike. I'm not Mr. Nerd, all right? I'm encouraging you to be open-minded about Breslow, because there are some signs that maybe he's a little bit different than Chaim Bloom. He certainly sounds like a nerd. He has a bunch of Breslowisms. He, speaks like an Ivy League guy. But then he'll say some things every once in a while where you say, that was actually like a real kind of meat and potatoes, old school baseball guy type of thing.
Lip service.
You think it's lip service?
Yep.
Do you mind if I call for a cut here? To
yeah,
support
please
my
do.
argument?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jimmy, I think it's number 4, Breslow. It's the short one. Craig Breslow. I talked about this the other day. The Red Sox have a surplus of left-handed hitters in their farm system, and they're all, right now, they are, buoying or, making the farm system. They are raising the rankings of the Red Sox farm system because you have Meyer and Anthony and Teal and all of these great prospects. So that's good for your Baseball America ranking, but ultimately it's bad for your baseball team because they're all left-handed and you got a whole bunch of left-handed guys. Does this sound like a guy who cares about his Baseball America rankings, or does this sound like a guy who might be willing to make a baseball move and trade one of those prospects to improve his team?
There's no hiding the fact that we are skewed toward position players, and particularly left-handed hitting position players. And balancing that out is something that we've been mindful of since I got here 6 months ago. And I think the opportunity to add pitching, whether that is, pitching that can impact our major league team immediately, or pitching that we believe has the ability to impact our major league team at some point in the future, is something that we should always be targeting. I don't think anyone would ever claim that they have enough pitching. If we can, address short and long-term needs in a single transaction, like, we should absolutely be open to considering that. It's just very, very difficult to execute.
He did not rule out the possibility of trading one of his top prospects for pitching. That's going to hurt your Baseball America ranking. So Chaim Bloom, if you had suggested this to him, it would have been like you ran over his dog. All right. That question was asked of Craig Breslow. What do you do about all these left-handed hitters? And he's basically like, yeah, I got to trade one of them eventually. That's a baseball move there. That's not a nerd thing. The nerds would look at this and say, well, Roman Anthony increases my Baseball America ranking. Chaim Bloom Craig Breslow looks at it and says,
he's giving you what you want to hear. He's giving you what you want to hear. I don't believe it.
Okay, so why? Why don't you believe it?
Because in his heart, in his DNA, it's what Alex Spear wrote back on June 24th. This is what Craig Breslow believes in. Craig Breslow cares about the odds, writes Alex. The Red Sox chief baseball officer has made it clear that in evaluating whether to buy or sell at the trade deadline this year, the data-determined probability of reaching the postseason will play a significant role. That's how he's wired. Quite literally, because he's a bot. He's just another Ivy League, closely cropped, black hair, white-skinned baseball clone. They all look alike, sound alike, manage their teams alike.
So you're saying he's the same as Chaim Bloom?
Yep.
Nope, he's not. That's wrong.
He might be a little better version. 2.0, what do you kids say? Like he's like a next gen, whatever. On the margins, he might be better.
Bloom plus.
But how he's wired is the data-determined probability. That's it. And he said that to Alex Spear. Guys like me take that and hammer him over the head with it, hammer the team over the head with it. And so now we get closer to the deadline. The team's having a great year. And someone with the Red Sox says, Craig, let's not do the data-determined probability thing. Let's change our tune a little bit because it sounds bad. And so he's giving you what you want to hear. But it's not what's in his heart.
So what if that's Theo, his advisor?
Yeah, no, good. Theo is absolutely understands how analytics have turned off fans.
Yep,
100%.
He's a nerd too.
He's a reform nerd. But all I'm saying is, so they know how it plays. They know how it plays when Craig Breslow say that whether to buy or sell at the deadline, they will use data-determined probabilities. So he's changing his tune, and he tells Tom Caron and Alex Spear now on a podcast in a recording that we don't want to get caught up in the playoff probabilities because that's what we want to hear and what you want to hear, and you're buying it. And the goal here is not to win the system rankings, but to win big league games. Like, oh, please.
Well, let's see in 2 or 3 weeks.
Let's see. Exactly. We have a show to do today, and I'm telling you today, I don't believe him. They're not going to do it.
And I'm telling you, I actually do believe in him. Based on some of the moves he's made so far, he is different than Chaim Bloom, and I think it is unfair on this day to say he's the same as Chaim Bloom.
Well, why is it unfair?
Because he
looks the same, he sounds the same, it's the same crap.
His moves have not been the same.
Dom Smith.
So again, Dom Smith is the big differentiator there. The fact that he brought in Dom Smith, well, again, I'm being honest, I don't know who that is.
Well, that's a you problem.
It's most baseball fans don't know who that is. Most baseball fans don't know who that is.
Craig Breslow took 14 pitchers in the draft in 20 rounds. Chaim Bloom never would have done that. Chaim Bloom hated pitching because the nerds say pitching isn't worth anything. You can find a dime a dozen guys. Craig Breslow came in and said, we need to change this. This is completely different. So you're basing this on the way he sounds. I'm basing this on the way he has acted so far. We don't have a lot of data on that. I know you're big into the data.
Give me Breslow 1, please.
Has the play of the team through the first half of the season suggested to you that you at least have to consider trading future wins for now wins?
I mean, I think I have to be open-minded, right? I think, as easy, as convenient as it would be to say, hey, this is the plan in February, and we are going to adamantly adhere to it, irrespective of anything, that might come up that would force us to change, is just so unlikely to happen. It would be irresponsible. It would be foolish. I think those that I have seen have success in this position have the ability to be nimble, to adapt, and to factor in all of the considerations that one needs to be mindful of when approaching a trade deadline.
Is he talking about sports?
No.
Honestly, if you dropped out of the sky and you weren't listening to a sports show and you just plopped out of the sky and came into the middle of that comment, would you say the guy was talking about baseball?
No. But when he talks about baseball, it's different from some of the other nerds.
Oh, he's just another clone. I'm sorry. I know it sounds like I'm really dumb, but I don't know the guy. I've never met the guy. He might be an excellent human being. In the context of just this thing, him as a baseball GM and me as a baseball follower or whatever, he just sounds like everybody else, and he doesn't sound like he's talking about sports. I can't stand it. I can't stand this whole wave of executives that have taken over the sport. I can't stand the way they talk about the sport. It's like I'm not talking sports with the guy. So I don't think he's any different. I'm sorry. I don't. And I think he's really inexperienced and really not ready for the job. I know this because he was like the 11th guy on the list.
And that's why they gave him Theo. Thank God, because they didn't do that with Bloom.
So and again, I don't mean to be so like vicious. I don't hate the guy. I don't know the guy. I just, these young new baseball executives, I really just don't like them. It's true. I don't. They just kill it. Like, your team's having a good year. This is fun. Does it sound like it?
No, it doesn't sound like it, but he said, I'm not following the plan in February. I mean, that's the translator from there.
Let's see. I think he's just paying you lip service is what I think.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Maz here. For more Red Sox analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.